I think the easiest way to explain equity is actually through an example. So let's say that you've got $1 million property, doesn't matter if it's in Perth, Darwin, Brizzy, Sydney, Canberra, wherever it is in Australia. And for this example, the value of the property is $1 million and you owe the bank 600K. So theoretically, your mortgage broker or bank manager is going to say you've got $400,000 of equity, which is basically the difference between what the property is worth and how much you owe on it right now.
Interesting. So there's $400,000 worth of equity in that particular example, but the banks will actually only loan you up to 80% of the value of the property. So that's $800,000. So there's really only $200,000 worth of usable equity in that particular example.
The only asterisk on that one is even if you've got 200K of equity that you can borrow up to that 80% mark, doesn't necessarily mean you can service it. So servicing takes into account a whole bunch of different things, but effectively what it's looking at is your income versus your expenses, and the bank's going, are we prepared to lend this person some money and take on the risk? And they will have an ability to repay that money and we feel good about that loan? Or is this person in a position where this isn't safe for us or for them and they don't want to lend the money?
So let's say that, there's no asterisks because you're killing it, you're earning a great amount of money. And so you've got this $200,000 worth of equity. So how I can actually use that is I can release that equity out, and hypothetically, I could use that as a down payment, as a cash deposit, essentially, on another investment property. So let's say I was to go out there and buy a $700,000 investment property with a $200,000 deposit. My debt position is actually going up by $500,000. So what you're saying is I need to be able to service that extra $500,000 worth of debt.
That's right. Like most people probably watching this have a good amount of equity in their home or their investment properties, because obviously most markets in Australia have absolutely cranked in the last 5 years. So if you're sitting in that category where you've got good income or good combined income as well as good equity, then obviously you can go out there and continue to invest. Like it could be another investment property, could be a renovation to your home, it could be a reno to your investments, it could be subdivision or duplexing a site that you've got, doing a house or a granny flat or something special like that. There is unlimited opportunities. I mean, today we're sitting at the back of your place, beautiful sauna in the background, ice bath just behind you. But this is a place literally that you bought in the middle of COVID, that you've taken from a pretty simple, pretty normal home into an absolute retreat style living, absolutely gorgeous. And you used a lot of equity to actually do that.
That's exactly right. Now, my preference would have always been to use my own cash. But being 33 years of age, it's hard to save up all the cash required to do the level of work that I have done on this property as well. So we've used part cash, but part equity as well. So it's been a bit of a combination of things, but the banks were willing to loan it because I was adding value to this property as well. It was a relatively simple process with the right team of advisors, with a great mortgage broker. And I didn't just do it for this, I actually did it on one of my investment properties as well. So I own a home in Logan, in Regent's Park, down in South Brisbane. It's owned in a trust with my wife, and after a couple of years of really solid capital gains, the property went up so much and the zoning changed on that property, where I was actually allowed to release some of the equity out of that property, use that equity as a way to complete a duplex, a strata title duplex on that property as well. So that duplex actually only cost me about $40,000 of my own cash. All of that basically went to the council as well. And the rest of it was all done on equity as well. So it really allowed me to scale my property portfolio faster and sooner, and turn this place into a dream home a lot sooner than I would have been able to if I was just to use that cash. Now, the unfortunate reality of doing that is now my debt position across the portfolio is quite high. Even though my LVRs are really strong, I'm sitting at about a 70-30% LVR. So there's lots and lots and lots of equity in the portfolio. But because I'm on a single income at the moment, we're at the stage of life where we've got young kids, my wife isn't working, the banks are just like, look, yes, you're in a great financial position, but you can't use that right now.
I think what's super important though in an equity conversation is stepping back and going, well, what are my longer term goals? What are my short term goals? And for me and Simon, the goal has always been achieving financial freedom in a shorter period of time than waiting till we're 65 or 70 to retire. So for me, my goal for my family has always been to work 4 days a week, to take more time off than the average person, to enjoy time in the school holidays with my kids, to create a life filled with choices, to create a passive income of around about $200,000 per year, to train, to travel, to be more social, to actually contribute to charity, and to give back in a more meaningful way to the people that I love in my life and the people in society that are doing it the worst of. So I think equity is a gateway to achieving more sooner. Instead of having to save for your next deposit, for a property or for a subdivision or for a reno, it gives you the opportunity to move forward a little bit faster. And if the banks at the same time are willing to lend you more money, then like me and like Simon, you can use the power of time and leverage in property to go from sort of 25 years of age and both of us finishing university to, you know, my age now at 40, where I'm looking down the barrel of so many more choices than I could have ever imagined, because I slowly and safely invested in Australia's best property markets at the right time in the cycle and with the right longer term intention.
You know, I love it. And this is one of the reasons why we love property. But at the same time, you do have to recognize that when using that equity, your debt position is going up and you're the one that has to pay down that debt over time as well. So sometimes the more debt you accumulate, the harder it can actually be to make those repayments and actually get to where you want to be in the future. So always ask yourself that question, you know, just because I can, doesn't mean that I actually should.
I think it's really important to go talk to your accountant about this stuff, talk to your mortgage broker or your bank manager about this stuff. Like, the cool thing is the big banks in Australia are more conservative than most Australian investors. And if you can borrow money, they're going to give it to you. And if it's unsafe for them to take a loan, then it's probably unsafe for you to take one as well.
You know, having the ability to use equity has completely changed my life for the better. You know, sitting in my backyard at 33 years of age, you know, dream home, dream setup. And I wouldn't have been able to do this without equity, and same with my investment properties, allowing me to do projects, add value to those investments and scale that portfolio further is such a blessing. But I do remember what it was like at the very beginning, and I know how tough it is, because until you've got a property, there is no equity to use, and you do have to save that initial cash deposit all off your own hard work. And that's why people say buying your first property is always the most challenging. But once you're in, you freeze your debt, you freeze your money at that point in time, but you've now acquired a great asset in a great country that's going to continue to grow in value over time. And if you're in a financial position to utilize some of that to take your portfolio to the next level, then it's going to be awesome. And we're super fortunate to be able to help so many people do that. And I guess I'm just so grateful for the system that we live in, the country that we live in, and the ability that we have to make things work for us as opposed to us having to work for things forever.
G'day guys, my name's Ben and I'm the director here at Pumped on Property, and I just want to say a massive thank you for watching our content today. Now, if you're thinking about buying an investment property in the next 3 to 12 months, then the team and I would love to offer you a one-on-one strategy session. In that session, we can talk about exactly where you are right now, where you'd like to be longer term, and we can deeply educate you on the Australian market. And then you can take that information and go and absolutely smash it on your own, or potentially become one of the small number of clients that we work with each week. To book your session, all you have to do is go to www.pumpedonproperty.com and click that book your free strategy session button. But either way, we wish you all the best on your journey as an investor to financial freedom.